Hello everyone, Elise here. I'm checking in with my audience. I know I did a video recently, just kind of the night at the museum. Hopefully you guys enjoyed that for those who watched. And I finished the Gita. I did it. Okay, so little backstory, right? I started the Gita around May, June of 2023. And I got like to so many chapters in, I can't remember, but I was still early on. So I didn't dive deep in and stop reading the book, right? So I finally finished it over this past week, and I want to just kind of talk about it. So for you guys who don't know, I was raised in a Christian home, and so I read the Bible multiple times, and I wanted to read other holy books, as they like to call them, and I haven't got my hands on the Quran, but I did purchase the Gita and I read it. And so let me go over a couple of things. I enjoyed the book, and before I treat it like it's just some book, I don't want to do that. But I also know my background, right? So I had to, in so many ways, kind of turn off my I want to say this correctly. I didn't want to go in thinking this is the Bible. Okay, I didn't want to read it and approach it like that. So I approached it kind of clear. Like, I'm not gonna, say anything. I'm just going to read it. I'm gonna read this book and, go from there. And I did. And gosh, there's so many things I want to say. So I had some conversations with my sister and kind of like, well, this and versus that and the Bible and this and this is this. So I kind of wanted to get my mind, my thoughts right of how I wanted to talk about it. But let me just talk about the things I liked, okay? What I really enjoyed about the Gita is, especially this version, this English version by Hari Chaten. I'm probably saying that wrong, but I'm gonna go ahead and pronounce it like that. I like the way he, kind of presented it. It didn't read like old English, thou shalt not. It wasn't that. And so it made it a little more palatable to read through. But what I really liked was, as I was reading through the book, right? Every chapter that I read, I had a question, right? And when I went to the next chapter, the questions that I had got answered. And then another question comes, each time. And then when you finish the Gita, there's still that last question. And like the end of the Gita, the question is answered. And I'm like, this is a beautiful story. This is a beautiful book, because you can go back and read it over and over and over and over again. And it's probably good, just like the way people read the Bible, you can read the Gita the same way. And because you're going to find something new, something that you can become better at, and something that you can improve upon, depending upon your relationship and journey with the Most High God. You can always, sharpen that tool, right? What else? So let me go ahead. I'm gonna just dive deep into this first. So I like the fact that when you, the name is Hare Krishna. So Krishna is helping Arjuna, and I hope I'm not saying the name wrong, but Arjuna in this war. You know, these two people, these people who lived in this place. I could be saying it a little bit off. This is my version, okay? Sorry. They're going to war, right? And I have to go back and read the beginning because I did, like I said, take that time off. But anyways, Arjuna is talking to Krishna. Krishna is there to help Arjuna fight this war. So, but they're going back and forth, having this conversation, not like battling or bickering, but more like, you know, I really want to help my people, and how do you not, and what's the meaning of life, and all of this stuff, right? What's the point of all of this, you know? And it's just like these questions, and what's beautiful is that Krishna always answers. Like, the answers are always it relieves you of the worldly attachments. Like, even when that was my other thing I was reading the book. Like, the further you go into the book, the more the unattached to materialistic things, to the flesh, and you can say you kind of separate yourself, you remove yourself out of it, from being so physical. And then the other thing I like is because it shines a certain type of light, right? So when I have read the Bible, I'm gonna go ahead because that's the one holy book I've read completely until now. There's a light that shines, right? And me personally, I still think that Christ is the way, right? Christ is the way out. But in the Gita and with Krishna, what Krishna is telling Arjuna is how to get out, right? And it's like, follow me, I'll show you the way, keep your mind pure, this, right? And I'll do a comparison later on. I'm just going to focus on the Gita right now. But something cool I thought, there is these levels, right? So you have the hell level, you have the earth level, and then you have the heaven level, right? And you keep going through life. Depend upon how you live your life and the choices that you make, you're going to either come back again within one of these material natures or realms, right? And the higher you go, if you make it into the heavenly realm or the heaven planet, and you make it out, you don't ever have to go through the life, the death, and the rebirth all over again, because you basically follow Krishna out of this cycle of life and death. And I think it's interesting because there's this one part of the book, like, so Arjuna wanted to see Krishna. Krishna was like, I'm going to show you all of me, right? And so Krishna shows everything. Everything is in Krishna. The good and the bad, the beautiful, the wonderful, the all of it, right? And it made me think of like the cherubims, and how if you were to look at these angels, sorry to make a comparison, but it's like really scary looking, but it's also this understanding of why it is the way that it is, because there is the bad, and the bad is being removed, and then there is the good that's also coming out of this God, and even though all things are in Krishna, everything is not Krishna. So like, you can be in darkness and you can do bad things, but that's not Krishna that's doing that or making you do that, or that's that's not what Krishna is, right? And so one of the things that I liked when I was reading the book, I saw how, you're in earth, right? So that's the middle realm, and it's kind of, that's the earth, that's the realm of passion, right? So you have all these passions, you're driven, and the more you follow Krishna, or the more you have this relationship with God, you become less focused on, if I do this thing, I'm going to get a reward. And the ultimate reward would be to not have to go through the cycles of life, meaning the life, the death, the rebirth. And then based upon your choices that you chose, you're either going to be in this dark realm, earth realm, or heavenly realm. And I mean, there was like all this different stuff that I never read before. And when the way my understanding of the earth realm and just what Krishna's story was, it's like you can understand that this world has bad things, but these people are in that realm of the darkness realm, and the darkness always ends up it's always destroyed, because the darkness destroys itself in a sense, and it kind of reminds me of the scripture that says, those that are in darkness don't know what makes them fall, because they're in darkness. Same thing, just said differently. What else? I love the fact that by following Krishna and focusing on Krishna, then you go away from doing sinful things. You you don't practice darkness. You don't do certain stuff. You even get to a point of not being so materialistic, or not being materialistic at all. And then like Arjuna asked the question, like, well, do you just not do nothing at all, or do you still do certain things even though there's a reward at the end, but you're not supposed to really go after the reward. You're just supposed to kind of like keep your eyes focused on Krishna. So it seems there's some similarities to the different books, I think everybody's ultimate goal is to have that relationship when it's with the Most High God, and being with the Most High God like this, like one in the same together. For me, it was interesting to see the Trinity in this book versus the Trinity that's in the Bible. In the Bible you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. And the Gita, you have the hell realm, the earth realm, and then you have the heavenly realm. Then of course, to ultimately, move on to just being in total bliss with the Most High God, or in bliss with Krishna. What else? And there isn't this beat you over the head punishment. If you don't do this, you're gonna be, out, you're done, There is still that seed time and harvest. There is still that for every action there's a reaction, so it just brings it to more of like a constant focus, or a daily devotion, right? Like you devote your time to living a pure life, eating, drinking, this and that, and eating right, drinking right, thinking right, sleeping right, worshiping right, meditating, like all of these things. And this is my comparison stuff right here. So in meditation, right, Krishna describes these different versions of how to do things, right? They're called yogas, or the yogas, right? You have the karma yoga, you have That's the yoga of action, right? Then you have the meditation yoga. Then you have the gosh, there's so many different yogas, but you have these set. I think it's 7. Don't quote me on that. But you have these yogas that you practice, and you go throughout these different yogas, and your ultimate thing is to focus on holding that space only for Krishna, right? And what I heard a lot of when Krishna was talking to Arjuna, it's about breathing in and out, right? And hearing the breath and focusing. And it says between your pretty much your eyebrows right here, focus on, Krishna. So, but it made me think about the name of God, right? It is YWHW. It is the inhale and the exhale. It's just different versions. I know people will, have their opinion, especially those who are strictly in the Bible. And they have, they might have, oh, you shouldn't do that, sis, or that's the wrong. That's why you got to be careful with doing this and doing that. And I can't speak for everyone, but a lot of people who say these things I've, come across, they actually haven't read. And all you're getting an understanding. My people perish because of lack of knowledge. I find it interesting that I finally completed the Gita now, right? Because I look at the time that we're in, right? Jesus said in the Bible, it says that at the end of this age, you'll see someone coming with a water basket, right? And the water basket is the Aquarius, right? If you look above, we're in the age of Aquarius. And Aquarius is a sign of air. So it's the age of pretty much information. Air and information, so AI, right? And but even Jesus talked about this person, this age, that's, this age will close, and we'll go into that. Now, the age that we just recently came out of was the age of Pisces, which is the sign of the 2 fish, which is in the zodiac sign, and that is the representation of Jesus Christ, right? And so now that we're in this new age, which is the age of Aquarius, we are now in the age of the information, which it's not that you dump Jesus Christ, it is time of the information, getting all of this information. According to the Gita, or these scholars, the Gita was before the Bible. Now, not that I'm trying to compare the two. Me personally, I see it as a time that God showed up. Not that God ever left, but God, was communicated in this type of way during this time with the people that were on this earth, during that time. And of course, I haven't done like the history behind the Gita, and that's probably something that I'm going to look into, just so that I can have a better understanding of the timeline when this book was put together and all that good stuff. But as of right now, I just read it. But I think it's, for me, it made being here on the earth, living at this time that we're living in, to me, a lot easier, because there is no ignorance to the bad, right? There's not saying there's no ignorance to the bad in the Bible, but the way, at least for the way I have been taught, there is this very it has been taught oppressively sometimes, you know, in some ways, depending upon who someone's interpretation or their understanding of the Bible, right? And I'm not going to say narrow mind, because the narrow is the path to the Most High, right? Jesus says it in so many ways. If you read the Gita, Krishna says the same thing. It's a path that you take and you live a holy life. It's like they say the same thing. It's just how they say it. And then the difference is I feel like it just shines some more light. Like the Bible provides light, right? And then the Gita provides light. And the more light you have, the more stuff you see, right? And it's like the Gita had brought this type of light where when you don't have the specific answer in the Bible about things that you know you experienced, but you only lived so many years on this planet Earth, and you know you wasn't in France, or you know you weren't, and it's like, no, that wasn't the dream. I know I was there. But you kind of like brush that off because there is no possible way you could have been here in the past. You hear people talk about it now, but and somebody would quickly be like, oh, that's a familiar spirit, that's the devil, da, 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 da. And it's like, I feel like that causes more psychological craziness to happen in your mind. Whereas if you read the Gita, you're like, oh, that makes sense. The Gita's like, yeah, because you probably been here and you probably dealt with that. That's probably how you rolled up out of here and you came back. That's why you have these memories. You know, they're slowly but surely coming back to you. And now you make better choices, or you can make the wrong choice and go down to back to a darker place. But at least by reading the Gita, you find that out, like that it shines a certain type of light of having gone through cycles, right? We even see cycles even in our present time here, right? So we have the seasons, that's a cycle. We have the moon, that's a cycle. You know, like there's always this constantly of life and rebirth, life and death, right? Rebirth, constantly going over and over and over again. I mean, we see that every single spring and every single winter. So, you know, I think before someone tries to shut it down, I think first you should get an understanding, and then two, you know, you can state your opinion whenever you want, you know, like it's your opinion, but it's kind of hard to, it's like for example, if I were to tell you how to be a millionaire, I haven't made $1 million yet, you know? So how can I tell you how to be a millionaire if I haven't made the millions yet? How can someone say that this book is bad if they haven't even read it? Now, I'm not saying go out and just do anything or start believing or either studying or chasing after something as if what the Bible teaches you is not the truth. I'm not even saying that. What I am saying is that the Gita does shine a new, it brings more light. I'm not going to say a new light. I'm going to say it brings more light to life and what people experience, why they experience certain things, how to become better, to show you a way to do things better. I think for me, what makes the Bible pretty cool is that Christ is the way, right? You have Christ, and Christ will show you the way. Yeshua, Yashaya, some people say Yeshaya. You got the Ruach HaKodesh. And it's interesting because when you read the Gita, you have these names. You know, you see Krishna, Hari, Krishna. And then you see these different names. And then you also see like demigods, like, You know, that was like another thing. And even Krishna said, if you start following these demigods and praying to these demigods, yeah, you still gonna cycle back through, because that is not the ultimate thing, right? And you'll learn from them. You know, they may bring certain things, but your focus is on either something very materialistic, or either something evil, you know, and if you haven't come to a place of release of having the need to be rewarded and things like that. So yeah, it's interesting, because you kind of, at least for me, you kind of go through the same process when you read the Bible. Like, you don't, there is a reward, right? You become a Christian, or you ask Christ and to come into your heart, and you saved, right? And he forgives all your sins, covered it in the blood, and then you now live your life moving forward in Christ, right? And the more you dedicate your life on being and following Christ, you will stop doing certain things, and you won't be going certain places. It's just, I'm telling you, it's pretty much the same thing. Krishna's saying the same thing. So I think it's cool. I'm happy that I read it. Will I probably read it again? I probably will. I'm not gonna see it. I don't think they're one in the same. I think it's different versions and times where God showed up and presented themselves to this particular people. And I think it also depends on the different ages that people are in. And so we left, the age of Pisces, which makes sense for people to start moving into all this information, all of this truth coming out, and as above, so below, as they say, right? If above we are in Aquarius, the person carrying the water basket, and this is what Christ talked about, then why is it not so, right? And if information is flowing in this particular age, you're going to get a lot of information. And to stay back in the age of Pisces, I think, to me, would be a discredit or disservice to yourself, because you're in the past. The present, that doesn't mean that you don't have the information of the age of Pisces, which is, like I said, the two fish and the representation of Jesus Christ. That doesn't mean you forget it. It's still information. It's that there's a lot more information out there, that as you progress and as you become more enlightened, the more you get to see, at least in my version, that you get to see more of God, right? A different version of it. So I want to talk about this new book that I am deciding to read. It is The Art of War. So until I get the Quran, because that was the next book I was going to read, I'm reading The Art of War. It is the essential translation of the classic book of life. And it's by Sun Tzu. Taos. Tuzu. Taos. Tzus. Yeah, I saw the opening of this book, and I saw all of the people that had something to say about it and what to expect, I don't know. I personally skip past that. Most times when I read a book, I read all of that, but I just felt like, no, I'm not going to do that. I want to just jump on in and not have any personal opinion of what my expectation should be. I think some books that's okay to do that with, and others, no, I think it's okay to just dive on in there. And then kind of go back and read it and see that's what did you come to the same conclusion when you read this book. But so far, I find it interesting because one of the things that that the Gita talks about is how living on this earth, you want to live a certain lifestyle that's pure and holy and dedicated to Krishna, right? But how can you do that in the earthly world, right? You have jobs, you have family, you have this, you have that. And so, but Krishna also says, like, no, this is a daily devotion practice of, allowing, not even allowing, because that's not what he says, but it's more like knowing that the world has this cycle, right? The bad is always going to be removed. The bad is going to take itself out. That is a thing. And if the bad ever got enlightened enough or followed Krishna enough, they would have the opportunity to see the bad always gets taken out. I think of the scripture in the Bible. It says that the wicked will be cut off. It's in the book of Psalms, right? And the wicked will be cut off and they will be no more. It happens all the time, but back to the art of war, something that in the Gita, it highlights the actions. Like, it doesn't give you a specific story, but it gives you the actions of the choices that you make and how other choices and how people come in contact with other stuff that could possibly put somebody to do this, or how can you stay on this path but deal with, X, Y, and Z, right? And Krishna kind of explains all of this and how to go about doing it. And Krishna never says that it's going to be easy. He actually says, like, it's hard to do it on your own, but you do, if you focus and, devote your time and, your life to me, then you'll be successful. Kind of the same thing that Jesus Christ said. So, but starting off reading this book, you see the motion, right? The movements of people, the good and the bad. And you kind of see that in this, this book of The Art of War. So I want to read this book. I'm excited about the strategies that are there. And I'm excited about just, Chinese literature. Something that I noticed about this book is that it reads like a poem and talks like a proverb. So there are it's like nuggets of philosophy that's like literally dropped instantly. Like every single line that Sun Toes Towels Twos how it's dropped, right? And kind of, I feel like I'm evolving with all this information, and not like into a bad person or leaving Christ. I don't want people thinking that, but more like being able to be so far up by reading the Gita. When I say far up, I mean, because it really will take you out of being so caught up in the world and what's happening in the world, and to just having an understanding of this is what the world is like. And so when you kind of get yourself so removed or at a distance, you kind of have this panoramic you kind of have this panoramic view. There we go. And so you're able to see, like, or sky area, or how do you call it? An aerial view. View. So you'll be able to see higher up, and you can start seeing the pieces move. And this book is kind of showing you the puzzle pieces, how they move when it comes down to getting a job done, and the process of, elimination of certain things, and how do you know that you're winning versus how or a person who's actually losing. And so I think it's just a cool time that I just finished that book. I just so happened to see this book on my sister's shelf, and I'm like, hey, can I read this? And she was like, sure, go ahead. And I'm happy that I'm reading this. So once I finish reading this book, I'll come back and talk about it. And then hopefully by that time I'll have a Quran and I'll start reading the Quran. Until then, peace, love, all the light.